I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility for every unchecked moment.
For every time it was easier to ignore than to call it out for what it was.
Every not so funny joke. Every unfair stereotype.
They're back! Oh no, not again! A bunch of white Hollywood elites have unveiled a new cringeworthy virtue signaling commercial that is all of social media mercilessly mocking and ridiculing them. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest celebrity fail to come from our left-wing activists disguised as actors, and why literally no one gives a rip what any of them think. You're going to absolutely love it. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. If this is your first time here, I post 2 videos a day, analyzing current events and some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'll be an absolute privilege to have you here as a regular part of this channel as we together celebrate, yes, the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Now, before we dive in here, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's none other than the makers of this beautiful Fighter Flare flashlight. Now, one of the best things you can invest in for your protection when the lights go out is this 6-in-1 beauty, which comes with a 3,000 mAh solar-powered recharging battery equipped with a high and low beam light that you can see from miles away. It has an emergency strobe light. It's got a compass. It's got a wire and rope cutter. It's got an emergency glass breaker hammer and a high-powered military-grade magnet. It is awesome. And best of all, as a Turley talker, you'll get 25% off the new 2020 model before they sell out. But supply is limited. Do not wait. Click on that link below and get your super awesome Fighter Flare flashlight today. All right, gang, so let's dive right in here. The incurable narcissists that comprise our celebrity class, the self-righteous, virtue-signaling Hollywood elite, they're at it again. It seems that their agents wanted to remind everyone that these celebrities still existed, so a bunch of white actors put together a 2-minute commercial entitled, "I Take Responsibility," where they confess their sin of white privilege and perpetuating racism in our nation and vowing to take action. Take a look.
Every blatant injustice, no matter how big or small.
Every time I remained silent.
Every time I explained away police brutality or turned a blind eye.
I take responsibility. Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes. These are our brothers and sisters,
Our friends, our family. We are done watching them die. We are no longer bystanders. We will not be idle. Enough is enough.
I will no longer allow an unchecked moment. I will no longer allow racist, hurtful words, jokes, stereotypes, no matter how big or small, to be uttered in my presence.
Now, needless to say, because they're narcissists, they fail to see just how cringeworthy and pathetic they come across. But fortunately, there's plenty of reminders out there throughout social media. Britain's Daily Mail had a nice laugh at these leftist woke warriors' expense. The celebs are at it again. Sarah Paulson, Kristen Bell, Aaron Paul, and other white celebrities face backlash over cringe-inducing "I Take Responsibility" PSA video. Cringe-inducing, that comes from a tweet from the conservative scholar Christina Summers. They did it again. Another cringe-inducing celebrity video. Warning, this hashtag "I Take Responsibility" video contains toxic levels of self-involvement, posing as activism. Even the Daily Beast journalist Marlo Stern shared the video on Twitter, adding, "I regret to inform you the celebs are at it again." But no one is better in position to mock and ridicule these attention-starved left-wing activists disguised as actors than the one and only Ricky Gervais, who said it perfectly. What a terrible lack of diversity in this video. Now, of course, I'm sure you all remember when Ricky Gervais got to host the last Golden Globe Awards, right? And how he just totally roasted these pathetic Hollywood elite all gathered there. His opening monologue took shots at Apple CEO Tim Cook, who was there in the audience because Apple is now entered into the entertainment industry. And Gervais pointed out that The Morning Show, which is produced by the Apple Corporation, Gervais said it was a superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, brought to you by a company that runs sweatshops in China. And then he turned his attention to the left-wing liberals throughout the audience. They were kind of going, do we laugh at that? So you all say you're woke. You claim to be woke, but you all work for companies that run sweatshops in China. You're all so shallow and hypocritical, you'd sell your souls to ISIS if they had a streaming service. And then my personal favorite, right? He started talking about the Netflix series Afterlife, where Ricky Gervais actually plays a depressed man who's thinking of committing suicide. You knew where that was going to go, did you? He said, don't worry. My character did not kill himself, right? Just like Jeffrey Epstein. And you heard moans and jeers in the audience. These actors were clearly uncomfortable. Only Hollywood liberals would push back against that joke. And Ricky Gervais was ready for it. Do you remember what he said in response to all their moans and catcalls? He said, shut up. I know he was your friend, but I don't care. I mean, freaking Epstein, the most notorious child molester in the nation's history, and he's the friend to these Hollywood elite. I mean, God bless Gervais. But of course, the best was in the end when he said, remember, you're in no position to lecture the public about anything. Right? Do you remember that? You know nothing about the real world, he said. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So if you win, rather than give your moronic speeches, just thank your agent, thank your God, and sit the F down. And the entire nation stood up and they just applauded. I mean, because in many respects, Gervais was just expressing the sentiments of the vast majority of viewers who were tuning in that night. An American Barometer survey conducted by the Harris Polling Company found that a whopping 60% of respondents said that they oppose celebrities pushing their political agendas, which they believe polarizes public opinion. Very interesting. A political Hollywood is opposed by a solid majority of Americans. But of course, that opposition falls on deaf ears because they're narcissists. And narcissists can't empathize with anyone but themselves. If they feel woke about something, then they immediately rush to a camera and lecture the rest of the world on why we all should feel the same way, or else we're bad people. But what these left-wing activists disguised as actors really actually don't get and don't understand in terms of how pathetic they come across in this PSA. We talked about this just the other day, actually, in one of our other videos. But this should splash some cold water on these self-infatuated leftists. A recent Morning Consult poll found that only 4% of those polls actually trusted Hollywood. So this was the first ever most trusted brand poll where they were trying to gauge the level of brand trust among some of the more famous brands like Amazon, YouTube, Google, Chick-fil-A. We've talked about it before, and they published their findings in a report that sought to shed light on attitudes and sentiments in a consumer culture. So it's purported to be really the largest study of its kind. It's very good. It averaged nearly 17,000 interviews per brand. And so they surveyed upwards of about 2,000 different brands. So it's a very, very wide-ranging, very large sampling poll. And again, the purpose was to help better understand the competitive advantages within the market at this point in time. And so what they found is that, companies like Amazon, Google, Chick-fil-A, they had very good levels of trust. It could be between, say, 34 to 42% of Americans trust those brands. Very good. That would include PayPal, UPS, M&M's Candy. We talked about this before. However, when it came to the level of trust that consumers had for Hollywood, it was stunning. That trust percentage dropped to just 4%. You heard that right. 4% trust Hollywood. So that fact alone should bring these narcissists back to reality. Nobody trusts you. Nobody wants to be lectured by you. As Ricky Gervais put it so perfectly, you're in no position to lecture the public about anything, which makes it all the more cringeworthy when you do. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how Seattle's autonomous zone, what we're calling Antifa-stan, is a humiliating disaster for the Democrats. It's going to absolutely make your day. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.